Hey, 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 travel brats. It's Soph
And that,
coming to you from the studio. Happy Tuesday, guys and gals. It is December, and we are so pumped because Nat and I, we love Christmas. Christmas, Christmas. Yeah, and speaking of Christmas, we have a ton of cool news for you guys, but we're going to spend this entire Tuesday filling you in on the awesomest shows that are going on in your local Fort Myers area where Nat is performing all over.
that's
So,
right.
yeah, so Nat, go ahead and tell us all that's going on. We can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, so some of you travel brats may know, but I am a professional actor, singer, and musician. That is my career. And I would add podcaster to that, which is a great new addition in this last year. And it's fun because here we are, Sophia. I'm realizing too, we're almost at a year together
No.
as co-hosts. And of course, kudos to Ashley for helping start this great venture. But it has been an awesome year with you guys. And also shout out to Sophia and I's birthdays, because we both have birthdays coming up in the holiday season. We flank Christmas. I'm a couple days before and she's a couple days after. But yeah, so what we want to talk about actually today is some upcoming shows that I have in Fort Myers. I'm actually typically performing all throughout the East Coast. Lately, that has been kind of my area, some in the North, but mostly in the Southeast. I've been in Fort Myers, working down here a lot, off and on in the last couple years, as well as on the other coast. I was in Jacksonville this summer, but I have been contracted at 3 different theaters back to back to back that are all in Fort Myers. And I was doing a show called Breaking Legs in October at one theater here called Players Circle Theater. And then I'm contracted through beginning of April at another theater. So it's great. I get to be in Fort Myers for an extended period of time, which is amazing. I love it down here. And of course, getting to spend the winter in sunny Southwest Florida. There's really nothing like it. So yeah, I'll just share actually right now for those of you that are seeing my face. Normally in these videos, I do not have this much makeup on, but I just came from a show. So we actually have a lot of professional theaters will do a few nights of what we call preview nights. So these are shows where audiences get to typically pay a little bit less to come see the show because we are not yet open. So usually you'll open on like a Friday or Saturday, and then you'll have a couple previews. And what that allows the actors, directors, all of the creators to do is that during the previews, yeah, we're performing at night, but then we're getting a note session. We're sitting through notes from the director after the show, and then we have to come in early and have rehearsals. So once the show is open professionally, the director lets go of the show, and no longer are you allowed to rehearse your actors, unless there's an understudy going on and you have to do an understudy rehearsal, or unless, there are extenuating circumstances. Sorry, I've been singing and talking and out of breath all night from the show. It's such a fun show, but I'm like, here we go. Yeah, like settle yourself. There's one moment in the show, obviously it's a Christmas show because it's the holiday season, and we go from singing this crazy rock and roll medley to getting all chorally and singing "Hark how the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to." And I tell you what, it is all I can do, Sophia, to breathe. I am literally, the fear is in my eyes. I'm like, anyone that knows me can probably see that I am fighting for my life while I'm singing this very intense. I mean, anyone who knows the Carol of the Bells knows that it is very intense. And it is like the funniest thing to me that we're like doing this crazy rock and roll medley where we're dancing and all out of breath, and then we have to sing this choral number. But it's such a great show. And if any of you guys are living in Fort Myers or living in Southwest Florida or going to be visiting anytime soon, obviously come see me in a show. I would love that. But also, we've mentioned this before, but the theater scene in this area is quite extensive. Over the spring and summer, we did a series on some of the theaters in the area. And actually, I think at least two of the ones I'll talk about tonight, if not all three of them, are ones that we have mentioned before. So yeah, this area is a rich area for theater and entertainment of all kinds. And the theater that I'm working for right now, it's called Players Circle Theatre. And so here we are, you know, it's the first week of December, and our show is actually running to the 23rd of December. So we are going the whole month of December, and then we will close right before Christmas Eve, which will of course be nice for us performers that we will get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off, because that is not always promised in my field of work, especially if Christmas is on like a Saturday or a Sunday. If Christmas falls on a Monday this year, and Mondays are the theater worldwide theater day off, because that's just, no one goes to see theater on a Monday. That's just a collective thing that is true. And with Christmas Eve being on a Sunday, there was a chance that maybe we were going to have a show Christmas Eve, but no, they are letting us end our show on the 23rd. So I'll be able to have a little bit of rest time on actual Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, which is great. But Sophia, actually, it's interesting because the show that I'm doing, it's called Ho, 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 the Christmas Show. And before I met Sophia, I actually came down to Fort Myers to do this exact show. I should say not this exact show. It was this show is interesting because I think probably a lot of you guys have seen, you know, Christmas variety shows or Christmas concerts or Christmas reviews, Christmas cabarets. You can really call them a lot of different things. But essentially this show is a 90-minute Christmas concert / variety show. It's just a lot of songs. It's very little dialogue. When we do talk, we're really just kind of describing some of the songs we're going to sing. And we basically play ourselves. You know, we come out and we sing and we introduce ourselves. I say, hi, my name is Natalie. And, you know, I introduce myself and the other cast members introduce themselves. So it's a very personable, and it does feel very much like a concert cabaret type feel. But when I first came down to do the show in 2019, right before I met you, Soph, this was the inaugural show of Player Circle Theatre. So Player Circle Theatre was started by a man named Robert Cassiopo and his wife, Carrie Cassiopo.
Shout out to Bob Cassiopo and Carrie. We love you.
Yeah, they have brought me down to this area so many times. I'm so grateful for them and the work that they've given me, and to my boyfriend as well. We met actually working at Player Circle Theatre, which is amazing. So
wait, I have to say this because like, okay, Travel Brats. When I first met Natalie, yes, and there was the whole COVID thing, and then she had come back for like one of the first shows that they were opening back up after this whole like COVID fiasco, and there was this guy, and I had like not met him. I had met him once before, but like way back, and he had played tennis with us a little bit in the house you guys were staying in, but so we'd only met Matt once, and then he came back. Oh, good. It's like not quite a year later, but it's some period of time later, and he flew down, he like brought flowers, and he like surprised her. And on this same weekend, her best friend also drove down, and so I had like a party of people on my house. Do you remember now? Like you,
my friend Elaine.
Yep. Then Matt, then Elaine, and like we had a party, and it was so fun. We went and full house. We went and sang karaoke at the end of y'all's show, and we're gonna post a video from that. But it was such a good time, and it was like so much fun.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun, this crew of ours. But yeah, so I came down, and Ho 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 was basically created like these guys. Bob had worked with a guy named JT many years ago on Sanibel, and they had created the show together. And so now there are people that kind of take the show elsewhere, but will kind of redesign it or recreate certain elements of it. And so this version is an iteration of the one I did back in 2019. But the one I did in 2019 was a full 2-act show with an intermission. But this one, they really pared it down, and they decided to make it a 1-act, which is nice for me because, you know, I get out a little bit earlier every night. But yeah, so this is just a great Christmas show. I would say it's definitely good, wholesome fun. The show that I just did, Breaking Legs, had a little bit more of kind of like clutch your pearls moments in the show. Whereas this one, I think, it's hard. You would have to actively try to make Christmas inappropriate. You know what I mean? Like,
Bad Santa.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a lot of fun. And I wouldn't necessarily say that it is something you would bring your kids to. So for anyone that is able to come see this show, of course, DM us for any further details. We'll put details, it'll be all over Instagram and the blog. But if you want to come, I would say this is a great date night or a good night to go with friends, or send your parents, send your grandparents. I mean, it's a lot of classic Christmas songs that, were made famous in the 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And then a lot of, Christmas carols and, things that we sing in church and growing up, and, just these beautiful Christmas hymns. And so it's a lot of fun. But then we also have some new elements, which is really cool, little surprises, which I think, Sophia, you'll find to be really fun. I think the show has a lot of, it has a really nice flow and it's very seamless. So yeah, so that's the show that I'm currently doing. And what's crazy about Players Circle Theater is when I first came down back in 2019, they were based in an area in North Fort Myers. And now they have moved to a new location in Fort Myers proper, closer to downtown, off of McGregor. So anyone that knows Fort Myers knows this area, and it's an incredible upgrade from where they were previously.
Bigger and better.
Bigger and better. But it really is. It's a beautiful space, and they're doing really cool things with it. So yeah, it's a really fun and kind of fresh atmosphere, because everyone that works for the theater is very excited about it's almost as if we're doing another inaugural. I mean, it really is the inaugural season yet again in the new space.
Yeah.
But only 4 years ago, we had an inaugural show for the theater as a whole. So Players Circle Theater is the name of the theater. You can go to playercircletheater.com for tickets or for information. You can also find them on Facebook and Instagram. So Ho 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 is the current show I'm doing. Next, they have a show called Butterflies Are Free, which is about a young blind songwriter. And it was actually made into a movie with Goldie Hawn. I don't know how long ago it was, but that one is a play. And Players Circle Theater, I would say, like, predominantly they do plays. So Ho Ho Ho, the Christmas show, is obviously a musical. It has all the music in it. Then Butterflies Are Free is a play. There's another play that they'll be doing called Proof, which is an incredible play. It's a Pulitzer and Tony winning best play. It's a play that I've loved since I was in college and have wanted to do. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do this one, but it's because I have a gig at another theater, which is great. And then the next show after that is called 6 Dance Lessons in 6 Weeks. And that's a 2-person play about an older woman who decides to take dance lessons, and the sweet kind of, like, I would say, like a mother-son-ish kind of relationship that develops, this friendship between this dance instructor and this widow. And then last for Players Circle Theater is Godspell. And if you know Godspell, it is a rock musical. So this is really exciting because I think Players Circle, again, with all the plays, I think they're trying to do a few more musicals here and there, which will be interesting to see how that changes over the next few years as they adapt to the new space and further develop their seasons. But they really value good work, and they value doing plays. They like plays that are a little bit smaller. And of course, I'm going to talk about these other theaters. And one of the theaters I'll talk about, they do a lot of what we call big book musicals. And those are going to be like your Hairsprays and your Little Mermaids and your Elf. They're doing Elf right now. And so they do the big musicals with the 20 to 25 person casts. Whereas at Players Circle Theater, they offer, which is great for, people that are wanting to see theater in Fort Myers. It's like, okay, they can go to this theater over here to see a bigger show. They can go to this theater over here to see a smaller show.
Yeah.
And a show with 4 people in it, maybe a little bit more of an intimate feel. And so it's really nice that not every theater in Fort Myers is doing the same thing. They're all doing different things, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. Also, because it's fun to get the different feels. And like, I love Players Circle because, like, my husband and I, it's always been a good date night spot where it's like smaller and more intimate. And then obviously, we love seeing our friends perform there. I mean, you guys perform at the other bigger theaters too. So that's fun, but it's just a different feel. Like, it's like, I love bringing the family to like the other theaters. And like, I mean, I'll go to them all, but it's kind of nice to be able to choose. And then also, with so much going on, like, if you have a schedule to where you couldn't make it to Ho Ho Ho, but you could come to Butterflies Are Free or something else, there's always something new and exciting. And I feel like their timelines for the shows are perfect. I will say, just rolling back to Carol of the Bells, I have to say this because when I was a kid, I was in like honors choir at school, and like I remember I was like the mezzo soprano, and we had to go like through the whole song. We had to go ding dong, ding dong, while like the other people actually sang like Hark How the Bells Sweet. So I like lost my voice on that range because I can't do the ding dong anymore. But like I have like nightmares about ding dong ding dong. Anyway, so I feel you on that one, sister. And then like I just love Christmas. So I think that like even if you have friends that you're trying to like introduce to theater, or like family members that like don't go a lot or whatever, I think something like Ho 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 Musical or Elf, something like that, like those introductory like Christmas fun, it's like interactive, they know stories, they know all the songs, then it's fun because when you know all the songs, it's like I took my mom to a 4th of July show at Players Circle, and she was like freaking out the whole time. She loved it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's stuff and obviously it's great to like the show that I just did there before Ho Ho Ho, Breaking Legs. Nobody knows that show. It's like, what is this? And so a lot of people, it's interesting. Yeah, you kind of have to know the personality type of the people you're bringing in, whether it would be exciting for them to experience something that would be totally unfamiliar to them, or if they need something like Ho 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 to be like, oh, wow, this theater is really cool. Maybe I'll try a play that I wouldn't normally go to now that I've seen something that made me feel like I was a part of it, or so it's Players Circle really offers a lot, and I have enjoyed working there off and on since 2019. I mean, they really have given me a lot of amazing work, a lot of amazing opportunities, and I've gotten to direct and produce my own cabaret, like you said, during COVID, and just a lot of really cool experiences there. So Players Circle is near and dear to my heart because I have worked there for the last 4 years off and on. But the next 2 theaters that I'm going to share with you guys are theaters that are brand new to me, that I have not had the chance to work at, but have been trying to get in with since I've been down here in Fort Myers, and realized very quickly just how incredible the theater scene is in this area.
Well, that's what I was gonna say is like, when you think of theater, you think of like New York and Chicago and DC and like all these big cities. And it's like there's so much talent in some of these smaller like cities, or more spread out, because like we've got a high population in Southwest Florida. But like, yeah, but like you can go, the thing is fun is like there's just as many theaters as there are in the city. They're all over the place, and it's so much fun.
It really shocks me, just from, you think of, Tampa and Sarasota all the way down to Naples, just in those areas alone. I won't, but I could probably name you 8 or 9 different theaters right off the bat. And that's probably half or a third of the amount of, and I'm talking professional theaters.
Right.
Theaters that are hiring professional actors, people who make a career of this, which is absolutely incredible.
We're not talking about community theaters. We're talking about good, really great shows. And actually, while we're on that note of like people coming to see the theaters and great shows, and just like there's a lot of our demographic is obviously like you guys, travel brats. I'm talking to you. A lot of you are younger. And so I thought I would just say this because like typically a lot of younger people, until they get introduced to theater, don't be like, let's go see a musical, unless they like, the majority of the people, like just speaking from my personal experience that I went to college with, like I love it. My husband loves it. We have a music background. So like, but I remember like, and this is just a note for all the people that go to theaters. And if it's your first time going to a show, whether it's big or small, you don't talk during a show. And I wanted to say this because I took two of my friends to a show, and again, it was actually at Player Circle, and like Bob and Carrie, they were nice to like sit us in one of the tables toward the front, and they would not shut up the entire time. Like they kept talking to each other and like loudly. They weren't even whispering. They were like, "So like, what's this song?" And I was like, "Shh."
And,
Like,
and the
shut
thing, like,
up.
Sophia, it's so
So
funny
awkward.
to me because I hope you hope that people will understand courtesy. To me, that just seems like that's just a thing you don't do. You don't talk when people are performing. Now, granted, I will say, Sophia, I think I can give your friends a little bit of a break here because that was a concert, and it definitely was more.
No, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm saying like, okay, you go to like a Taylor Swift concert and you're definitely talking during, you know what I mean? But like, it was so intimate that it definitely was an inappropriate level of communication during the kind of show that it was. But like, if you go to a proper play or a musical and you're talking, oh man,
I'll
like,
murder you.
yeah, because I mean, like people are paying to see these shows, and I think that's the other thing too. Is of course, like you're saying, that we mostly do, especially in this area. You know, Fort Myers is in, as far as I know, the top 4 retirement communities in the United States. Like it is, a lot of people retire here, so most of our audiences are what we call blue hairs. You know, and
Waiting room.
yeah, like people are typically 60, 65 and above in our audiences. Now it's cool because we're starting to see more young people, which is very exciting. But it's partly because these people have the kind of resources and money and time to go, you know, see recreationally. This is something they do. And a lot of these people that live now in Southwest Florida used to live in Jersey, used to live in New York, used to live in Connecticut, used to live in Massachusetts. They used to live in areas where their access to high levels of theater and entertainment, including New York City itself, were just a train ride away, just a car ride away, just a subway, you know what I mean? So they had access to this. And so I think that's part of the reason why there's so much theater here is because there's an audience for it. There are people who crave it, these people that are retiring. But I would implore you again, yes, as our much younger constituency, like, you know, our audience for Travel Brats is so much younger than our audiences for my shows. And I think that is an unfortunate thing that people our age are not going to live shows. And I understand that part of it often can be finances. And that is, again, one of the things that I really appreciate about Players Circle Theater is that they do try to make things affordable. They offer seats that are a little cheaper. If you are in the area and do want to see my show, you can call the box office and say my name, Natalie Brower, and ask for the actor BOGO, and you'll get 2 tickets for the price of 1, which is, because then you end up, you know, about $20 on a ticket rather than 40 or 50 or, you know, that kind of thing. And, you know, it's something that I, of course, believe in as an artist, as a performer, as someone who does live theater. I, of course, without a doubt, believe in it and want to support it and want for people to believe in it as well. But it's certainly one of those things that isn't a natural, like, oh yeah, let's go do this kind of thing for our demographic, for our age. So I would encourage you, like, wherever you are in the world, you know, go see live theater. Like, concerts are great, they're awesome, but seeing musicals and plays, and hey, it might not be your thing. That's totally fine. I understand that. If you're like, you know what, I don't want to spend $20 on something that I know I'm not going to love, but I would encourage you, even if it is, you know, something like there are community theaters that do incredible productions. You know, it just depends on the resources that they have and where they are. But I know community theaters typically have cheaper. So if that's like your, let's try this, let's jump into it and see if we like it. But you know, it's an amazing thing. There's nothing like being in a room full of people experiencing something like that together that is happening in real time.
Yes. And that's what I was going to say is like, you can pay $15 and go see a movie. Okay. But like, you could do that at home. Like, it's so cool to be able to see people performing this and like to me, it's just always like I'm always in awe of like how everybody remembers their lines like this and everybody like sings the song. Like it's so difficult. Like you think about Hollywood and how many cuts there are and how many like redos of scenes there are. Like you guys have to do it right the first time. Like you're in front of a live audience. And so to me, it's like amazing watching that talent. I mean, I would pay no matter any theaters. I mean, they range from, if you go to the big ones in New York and DC, they range anywhere from like, $25 to like 500, 600. Yeah, but it's just so like it's such a different experience. And I think like it's not that people don't like theater. It's because of movies and because it's become like the older generations, like we were talking about. I think that you forget. Like, when you started coming down and we started going to shows to see you guys, like you guys left to go do other shows, other places, and we kept coming to shows because we were like, we forgot how much we love theater and like acting, seeing these musicals and plays and like even just the live shows, like these little like romantic live shows where people are singing, you guys are doing a cabaret or like, Brian girls on the piano. Like it's amazing. And we're like, these are like such hidden gems that we wish we'd found before, and when we were exploring Fort Myers, it's the same thing as like if you're just eating at chains and then somebody who really knows town takes you to a couple really good restaurants that are like hidden gems and you're like, where have I been all this time?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think, that's the beauty of it's totally like these hidden gems. And obviously I love going to some of the bigger, theaters or bigger spaces where they will bring in the tours, the Broadway tours, like for Fort Myers, it's Barbara B. Mann, where they bring in like big names and big Broadway tours and things like that, which are always incredible because if you can't go up to New York, it's great to see that. But there is a real, I don't want to call it a diamond in the rough, but like there aren't a lot of people that really know about professional regional theaters. And I think that is what Fort Myers in Southwest Florida has really done well. And a lot of artists have been drawn to this area. So I'll just quickly go through the other two shows that I have upcoming and kind of talk about these theaters briefly. So this theater, it's actually quite an interesting tale because as we mentioned, Bob Cacioppo, who started Players Circle Theater back 20 plus years ago, he actually started Florida Repertory Theatre, which is another great, fantastic theater in the area. So this guy, Bob Cacioppo, has started multiple theaters. He ran a theater in Sanibel for a while, then Florida Rep, and now Players Circle, and just an incredible producer, and has left a legacy of incredible theater in this area. But Florida Rep is truly such a gem in not only this area, but the state, and I would say East Coast as well. I mean, Florida Rep made a name for itself and has kept that name on everybody's list as far
Florida
as
Rep has got a rep.
That's right. No, they really do. They have such a great reputation. And I have, since I was in, college and learned about Florida Rep, I have wanted to work here. And I've had many friends who have worked at Florida Rep and have just such amazing stories about just the quality of shows that they do and the professionalism. And every theater has its bumps and bruises, as does every workplace environment. But and I'm not saying that Florida Rep specifically, I'm just saying in general. But I have been consistently impressed by Florida Rep, and in particular Greg Logenhagen, who runs the theater now. And he's such a kind, brilliant man. And I get to be directed by him coming up soon. So I'm very excited. I'm going to be doing a show called Beehive. Now, Sophia, do you know anything about Beehive?
I've heard of it, but I don't know much.
Okay, so I'm going to read you. I just copied this because I was like, this is perfect. I'm just going to quote it from the website. So according to Theatrical Rights Worldwide, Beehive celebrates the powerful female voices of the 1960s with such timeless hits as My Boyfriend's Back, Be My Baby, Son of a Preacher Man, and Me and Bobby McGee, told from the perspective of 6 young women who come of age in this enigmatic decade. Beehive takes us from their first Beehive dance to the challenges we faced as a nation.
Oh my gosh, I may have to drive my booty down there for that.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh, Bobby McGee, man. Okay,
Yeah,
there's so many good ones.
you would love the show. The costumes alone, like I had a meeting with the director the other day. He called me and he said, "Hey, I want to talk through the first act." And he told me about the different costumes. I have 4 costumes just in act 1 of like different epic 60s looks. And it's just going to be awesome. So yeah, it's myself and 5 other women. And we're basically just singing all like the powerful, epic hits of the 60s. So it's considered a jukebox musical. I feel like well, jukebox musicals are very popular right now. And I am definitely like this Christmas show, I would say, is technically like a Christmas jukebox. You know what I mean? Because it's all Christmas music. And then, oh, that's weird. Google me right now, guys.
Wait a second.
When I did a certain something with my hand, balloons like went up.
Natalie's a magician. She like literally just went up and the balloons just
if I do a thumbs up, a thumb will show up. Oh, yep. You see that?
Wait, what? What if I do a mustache? Do I get a mustache?
No, I don't think so.
Well, what the heck? It doesn't like me. It only likes you.
Yep.
AI's preferential. Or however you say that.
Speaking of getting us in real time, this is definitely us reacting in real time to things. So where was I?
Oh, you were talking about Beehive.
Jukebox musicals. So this would be considered a 60s jukebox musical because it's all music from the 60s. And so like, I don't know, $1 Million Quartet, even Jersey Boys would be considered because it's all like.
It's like the Marvelous Wonderettes, but in the 60s.
Yes. So the Marvelous Wonderettes, actually, I did that show a couple years ago, probably back in, it was early 2019. And that one is the first act is all 50s, second act is all 60s. So some of these songs I have sung in shows before, but this one's going to be really fun. And that one goes from January 9th to January 28th. There might be a possible extension to the 31st. But I'm really excited to work there. And Beehive, I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. It really is essentially kind of like this Christmas show, a concert style show where there's intermittent dialogue where essentially we tell the story of, like what it was like to grow up in the 60s and what not only we were experiencing as young women, but also what the nation was experiencing, which, the 60s was a very interesting, exciting, but tumultuous time. So if you are interested in that show, I would say go to floridarep.org or, look them up on Google, look them up on Facebook, Instagram. I mean, all these theaters are on all the platforms. And then lastly, at this time, the last show that I'll be doing in the Fort Myers area. I'm not sure what my next gig will be after that, but
the exciting life of an actor.
No, exciting life. But I'm very grateful that I get to be in one place for a little while, which is nice because I do kind of live this gypsy lifestyle of popping all over the place.
Travel brat.
Travel brat. I mean, that's why I'm here, guys. So the last show that I'll be doing in Fort Myers is Beautiful, the Carole King musical, which, as I said, I am just the jukebox queen, apparently, because this one is also considered a jukebox musical because it is almost all of the songs from the show are songs that Carole King wrote either on her own or with her writing partner, who then became her husband, Jerry Goffin, I think was his name. Goffman?
Jerry Goffin.
Yeah, I think. I apologize if I got that wrong. I realized in my notes I wrote down Jerry Goffin, but it edited to Jerry Gordon. So not Jerry.
We love autocorrect.
I know it's not Jerry Gordon. But also some of the songs are from other writers like Barry Mann and Cynthia Vale, I think is how you say her name. I'm totally butchering this. My apologies, Travel Brats. Please feel free to correct us. But it's just, it's a cool show about the life of Carole King. And it takes us from her early years when she's like 16 years old until around the time that she's in her late 20s, early 30s. So it kind of spans about a 15-year period of her life using these songs to kind of tell her story, but also like it's just these kinds of shows are really popular right now. It's almost like how biopics are really popular in the television and movie world right now. It's also very true of what's happening in theater. You know, like the Tina Turner musical, which you saw and loved. It sounds like Dolly Parton is creating a show about her life, and you know, all these people that have these shows about their lives. Interesting random fact, but Carole King was not excited about a musical about her life. She basically had to be convinced. And when she went to go see Beautiful, the Carole King musical, when she went to see the show on Broadway, she disguised herself.
Really?
Yeah, because she didn't want anyone to recognize her. She wanted to be able to watch it in peace. And she like slid in and slid out and nobody recognized her.
What a humble gal.
She's incredibly humble. And so I'm really excited about that show because I'm actually going to be playing the best friend of Carole King. Her name is Betty. The young, when she's young, when she's 16, her best friend, her name is Betty. But I am the Carole King understudy. So I will be going on once a week as Carole King to help give the girl who's the lead Carole King a break, which I'm really excited about. I'm a piano player. I've been, you know, trained my whole life in piano, and Carole King was and is an incredible piano player. And so I'll get to be able to play on the keys in the show. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about that. I mean, Carole King is an amazing woman, and it's an awesome story. And I think it's really beautifully told. And it's, for any actor, it's a great role, especially an actor who is a musician myself. I think it's just going to be really great.
I have a question about the profession.
Yeah.
How is it basically rehearsing to be an understudy and to be a big character? Like, is that just like a lot, or have you had a lot of experience with that? So it's less stressful than it sounds to me, or
I guess it depends. I mean, this actually will be my first, this is funny. I've never done a show in my entire professional career. I've never done a show where I had an understudy or was an understudy.
no way.
So I am excited, a little nervous and intrigued about, first of all, doing a show where they have understudies, where the theater actually has the budget / ability to hire understudies. That's not always the case. I think most professional theaters do try to have that, at least for the leads.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I work for theaters that typically have smaller casts and maybe aren't able to do that. And so it's exciting, but also a little scary because I'm not going to be rehearsing as Carole in the room every day.
Right.
I'm going to have to do all of my own rehearsing on my own. They usually have one understudy rehearsal. And if I have to go on for something, they'll have what's called a put-in rehearsal. Well, they'll put you in for that role. But because I am guaranteed a show per week, it's likely that they will have some like one dedicated rehearsal for me and for my understudy, who will then go on for Betty. Sometimes,
right, I was gonna, say like, what about who plays Betty while you play Carole?
Exactly. So one of the other ensemble members or the swing, there's usually every like theater that does big shows like this, especially shows that are bigger, like dance shows, they'll have a male and female swing, which just means like that they kind of, I mean, literally envision a swing. They swing on and off stage if needed, if someone gets sick, if they have to learn all the parts.
So Natalie, you're telling me that there's a lot of swingers in theater.
There's a lot of swingers.
I'm hearing? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, that is. You can take that.
Wouldn't want
Take that to
to
the bank.
Wouldn't want to spread any gossip. By the way, sweetheart, don't get your lines mixed up. Don't switch the lines.
But yeah, so it's interesting, you know, as far as the director and the stage manager and how they literally manage all of that and all the different pieces that are at play. Because like I said, yeah, when I go on for Carole, someone else will have to go on for me as Betty. Sometimes you'll have what they call an offstage understudy or an offstage, I just lost the word. I was going to say sub, but that's not really the right word. But typically it's just an offstage understudy that wouldn't be playing anything on a normal basis. But in this case, I am an onstage understudy. So I do have a specified role for the 8 shows a week that I'm yeah, Betty, and then the one show that I'm Carol.
So you said you know what days you're going to be playing Carol?
Not as of yet.
Okay. Well, we'll have to shout that out in some of our upcoming episodes so that if our travel rats want to come on night that you're Carol, they can come see you in Carol.
Yeah.
And if you guys can't make it, then you can also see her as Betty. So it's a win-win. But that would be fun. I'd love to go to both and like see you transition. That'd be so crazy.
Yeah. So I wanted to share with you guys some of the shows I have coming up, a little bit of kind of an inside look into what I do. Maybe sometime, Sophia, we'll have to have an episode where you tell us what you do.
Oh, yeah. You know me, I'm like the guy next door in that random show that like does a million jobs and no one knows what he actually does. Always working, but never. Always working, but never really working. Oh, the last thing I was going to ask you is, and before I ask you this, because I'm going to forget to run my little ad plug here. So before I ask you the final question of the night, guys, I know it's Christmas time. I know you're still Christmas shopping. I know probably 85% of you are last minute Christmas shopping because who doesn't do that? Guys, we did do a awesome episode on like travel gifts, also just really good Christmas gifts. Go check out our Amazon link for them. You know, travel safe this holidays, book your flights early. They're really expensive. Or maybe drive. But the end of this episode, I had a question that I've been thinking of because you've had so many great shows this year. What has been like your all-time favorite show so far that you've done this year?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I started the year with a show called I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. And then I did a show called Nonsense. And then I did Beauty and the Beast. And then I did Breaking Legs and now this Christmas show. And then I'll be starting Beehive at the end of this month. So like just even sitting here listing all of those out, it's like, it's been such a wonderful year of great theater at a lot of, I mean, that's 3-4 different theaters represented right there. And I would have to say that I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change at Players Circle Theater at the beginning of this year, and then Beauty and the Beast at the Alhambra Theater and Dining in Jacksonville are, of this year's shows, definitely two of the most fun and charmed and like wonderful experiences I had. Both incredible casts that I not only got along with really well, but just so much talent and so much hard work and so many people that were unbelievably and perfectly cast. Like just like so good for their job, so good for their role. Which in a big show like Beauty and the Beast, like it can be tough to cast people really well. I Love You, You're Perfect was only a cast of 4. So, but we got really tight. I got really, really close with both of those casts. And so I would say those would be the 2 highlights.
No, I love it. I really wish, like one regret on your shows is that I didn't get to see this year Beauty and the Beast. But when we saw I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change, that was great because, guys, shout out to Shane. If you guys know Shane, he's a friend of Natalie's. He actually has a little band with his brother, and they're amazing. And they just came out with a new song. So go check it out because I keep replaying it.
Christmas show. He's in the Christmas show with me. So you'll get to see him when you and Mike come see the show. But yes, we will shout out Shane. Go check out Shane and Josh. They just came out with a new song, and it is amazing. All I Ever Wanted, I think is the name of the song.
I think it's called All I Ever Wanted, and I love it. There's, oh my gosh, beautiful voice. Shane has a beautiful voice, and his brother's great. Their harmonies are so much fun. And the last thing I'll say about that show is that was the other time. Okay, that show was hilarious. Like I could not stop laughing the whole time. And then, yeah, you had that small cast, and everybody was just phenomenal. And you guys changed so fast. Like you kept everybody so on their toes.
Characters.
Yeah, like you moved from one character, from a child to like a grandma, the next to like a young woman. And then I think seeing Natalie in a tennis dress with a tennis racket, because I played college tennis, guys, that was great. But also the funny thing that, because we did talk about how you don't talk on that show as well. This wasn't the one you were thinking of, because we were thinking of the same show earlier in this episode, but this one I also brought 2 new friends, and the girl got so drunk, and the whole show she was like, oh my gosh, I love Natalie, she's so hot, and like she was just talking so loud to her, and I was like, shut up. Like, this is what happens when I try to bring new people to the theater.
You know what, we're grateful to have them. It makes for a fun time.
It does. It does. It's just they're so funny. Like I'm getting all these funny flashbacks. So like, calm down, Patsy. Her name's not Patsy, but I called her Patsy. Patsy's her alias for this show because I'm not throwing people under the bus. I'm just gossiping. Anyway, guys, we love you. Merry early Christmas. Obviously, we'll catch you a few more Tuesdays before Christmas, but do your shopping, get your flights, people, make your plans. And go see Nat in Ho Ho Ho, the amazing Christmas musical at Players Circle Theater
Right.
this December. Love you guys. Love you, Nat. Catch you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.